Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I think it would be fun to talk about a lot of these Madden ratings that have come out. We're not going to talk about other teams. Maybe I'll do another video focusing on other teams and things like that. But today, we're purely focusing on the Washington Commanders, who got shown a lot of love, who got hated on, who's underrated, and then you even have certain players responding. Payne responded, Jeremy Reaves responded, and they both have two different types of responses as well, and I love both of them. But of course, Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Allen were just undeniable. They had to get the high rankings. They had to be top 10 in their respective positions. So we're going to dive into all of that, where everybody's placed. We're going to take a look at a lot of the most notable ratings, whether good or bad, based on the Commanders. Clearly a popularity contest, but it is what it is. But it's cool to see that the Commanders are finally becoming popular enough to where guys like Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Allen are getting rated higher, because in previous years they weren't. No matter how well they played on the field, it just didn't matter. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and Payne video just like this one. Make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to it. And of course, I'm still working on the film sessions for the rookie class, so we'll be working on those while I'm constantly updating y'all on what's going on with training camp. And of course, make sure you stay tuned for all of the daily training camp updates, everything, man. Any Commanders news, I'm working on a Rico report. I guess I'll probably get that done by tomorrow to talk about a lot of other stuff that's happened the past few days since the last time I did a Rico report. So stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get it.
You tell your family you can be a commander.
All right, so let's talk about Terry McLaurin first of all, and I'm happy to hear it. I mean, you could argue maybe he should even be a little bit higher, but at the very least, Terry McLaurin is ranked the 8th best wide receiver according to Madden's rating system. You got Justin Jefferson, 99 overall, Tyreek Hill, 98, Devontae Adams, 97, Stephon Diggs, 96, tied with Cooper Kupp, who's also 96. Then you got Jamar Chase, 94, DeAndre Hopkins, 93, and then Terry McLaurin is sitting right there 8th with 92. So any receiver I didn't name yet, Terry McLaurin is above them, because then you have A.J. Brown and Amari Cooper tied for 9th with a 91 rating. So he's above Devonta Smith, above a lot of the great receivers around the NFL. And I agree. I've been saying that Terry McLaurin is a top 10 receiver for a while now, and then he's finally starting to get like the Pro Bowl votes. He's starting to get the accolades, the appreciation from the national media and guys like that. All of the random Twitter neutral accounts that aren't even Commanders fans are starting to recognize him as a top receiver. And now that Madden has officially seen him, then you know his popularity is sky high, because it's a complete popularity contest. I truly don't believe Madden really watches football for real like that. I think they just go off of what name just sounds the best, which one is they've heard the most, who's the best household names and things like that. Now this top 10 receiver list, you can't really argue against that, but a lot of the ratings that we're going to take a look at, especially when we get to like Daron, Payne and stuff, I think it's definitely just who has the bigger name type of thing. But Terry McLaurin, at the very least, my main point is that he's reached the point where he's undeniable. He's not necessarily trending on social media for off the field antics, being a diva and all of that kind of stuff like a lot of these other top receivers. It's just pure business. He's not really trending on Twitter for anything outside of football. Anytime anybody even realizes he exists outside of Commander Nation, it's because he's putting in work. And you're seeing a lot of advanced statistics, like he's literally leading the NFL in contested catches over the past 2 years. He has the most contested catches out of any receiver out of the entire NFL over the course of the last 2 years. And I would love to see his exact Madden ranking as far as contested catches go, because if it's not a 99, then we have a problem. Because if it isn't, then that means he should be even higher than a 92 overall, which will put him up at least tied with DeAndre Hopkins, maybe up there with Jamar Chase. I think Terry McLaurin is that good. He's shown you time and time again that he deserves that type of rating. But it's cool. Again, I'm just happy that he's top 10 finally. Should have been top 10 for a while now, but it's cool. And then don't forget, I like Nick Wright for a lot of reasons, but his take on Terry McLaurin has been bad for the past couple of years. Because remember, there was a list that came out that had like Terry McLaurin like top 10 a couple of years ago. It was by like executives, players, coaches, and scouts or something like that. And then he completely like disagreed. And then he had a whole list of like the top 10. He had top 15 receivers and didn't have Terry McLaurin even in that list. And it was like even a segment on the television where he was like, he named a bunch of receivers. He was like, okay, so out of all the receivers I named, who do you have Terry McLaurin better than? Who would you replace? And so I love going back to that list now because you see guys like DK Metcalf, Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr., Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, Calvin Ridley. Now, granted, a couple of those guys I named just, off the field issues on top of, stuff on the field, why they shouldn't be ranked as high. But either way, I just love the fact that we proved Nick Wright wrong. And I wonder if they would ask him now currently how he would feel about it. And then moving on for the top 10 defensive tackles in Madden NFL 24. And there was like a weird thing because there's like a graphic with Jonathan Allen's number 2 and BJ Hill is number 1. But I think that was literally specifically a tackle rating. The top tackle defensive tackles, like literally the act of tackling. I don't know why they put that graphic out there. I don't know who did that and why, but the real official list of the top defensive tackles ranked in Madden: Aaron Donald, 99 overall, 7th straight year, which I think is a record. Then Chris Jones, 96, Dexter Lawrence, 94, Quentin Williams, 93, Cameron Hayward, 93, and Jonathan Allen, 92. Above Jeffrey Simmons, who's an 89, Vita Vea, 88, DJ Reader, 87, and Christian Wilkins, 86. And I'm happy that Jonathan Allen's getting the recognition that he deserves. He's a top 6 defensive tackle according to Madden, but I still feel like that's underrated. I would definitely argue Jonathan Allen is better than Dexter Lawrence, Quentin Williams, and Cameron Hayward. In my personal opinion, I can see Chris Jones, I can see Aaron Donald, and even Aaron Donald is like, is he still that elite? I'm not sure. But either way, I feel like Jonathan Allen should at the very least be top 5, top 4. But I'll take top 6. And again, years past, he wasn't being rated this high. So I'm just happy to see that. I'm glad that him and Terry McLaurin are getting the recognition that they deserve. But when we continue with the defensive line situation, you keep going down. 11th is Grady Jarrett. 12th is Kenny Clark. 13th is DeForest Buckner. 14th is Zadarius Smith. 15, Calais Campbell. 16, Grover Stewart. 17, Javon Hargrave. 18, Derek Brown. You know whose name we haven't mentioned yet? Daron Payne. All of those guys are ranked above Daron Payne. Daron Payne is 19th, tied for 19th with an 83 overall with John Franklin Myers. There's no way if you truly watch football, you believe that Daron Payne is the 19th best defensive tackle in the NFL. He's at the very least top 10. You can argue, some people even feel like he's better than Jonathan Allen. I mean, remember just a couple of weeks ago, coaches, players, and execs came out with their list of their top players, and Jonathan Allen was ranked 10th. Daron Payne was ranked 8th. So if anything, Madden, I guess according to coaches, players, and execs, overrated Jonathan Allen slightly, but huge time, big time, underrated Daron Payne. I think it's like about neck and neck. I can see why a lot of people prefer Jonathan Allen. I can see why a lot of people prefer Daron Payne. It just depends on what situation for me. But I love them both. They're both top 10 defensive tackles. Bucky Brooks just a few days ago came out with his top duo of each position group in the entire NFL. And Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen were the number 1 duo for defensive tackles out of the entire NFL. Out of every defensive tackle duo, any team, anywhere, they were number 1. And there's just no way that you have the 2 best defensive tackles in the NFL and one of them is ranked 19th. So again, Madden, it is what it is, man. I don't want to dive into this too much because it really doesn't matter. It's not like they get paid by this. It's different with like Pro Bowls, all Pro votes and things like that. That gets included into contracts and it actually affects how much money they make and things like that. But Madden is more so just for fun. And you know these players definitely care about Madden because they love to play it and they want to see their ratings go up on the game that they play. But it's also motivation to go out there and dominate and to get your rating higher than it is. So that's another thing. So I think it's funny because Daron Payne even tweeted, he responded, he said, "Who I pissed off at EA Madden NFL?" He like literally added their Twitter account. Laughing emoji, y'all wild. I completely agree. And then he went on to say, "Can't compete in a popularity contest. We get active for real." So you can tell he's motivated. Like he's seeing he's being doubted. Even though coaches, execs, other players, the people that matter the most view him as a better player than Madden does. But still at the end of the day, it's Madden. We grew up playing Madden. We want to your dream as a kid is to get on Madden, to be a great player on Madden that you can even play with yourself. And so these players do still kind of care. It doesn't affect anything for real, but there's a reason why they actually like invest energy and time into paying attention to what their Madden rating is. So I think if anybody's motivated, even if it's not a big difference, but if there's even a slight increase in motivation from Daron Payne, Payne going into the season because of that Madden rating. Even though he just got paid ridiculous money, long-term deal, one of the highest paid NFL players in NFL history. Even with all of that, if this slight underrate with him being an 83 overall in Madden is enough to motivate him to be just even a little bit better, thank you, Madden. Thank you for the bulletin board material. Thank you for that extra little bit of motivation for Daron Payne to be even greater than he was last year before he got that big time contract. Thank you very much. I mean, of course, I would like to see our players get recognized and get the ratings that they clearly deserve. Daron Payne's case especially. But, hey, man, I'll take that extra little bit of chip on his shoulder. Shouts out to Madden for that, because there's going to be an offensive lineman blocking him at some point this upcoming regular season, and Daron Payne's going to be playing extremely angry, and the offensive lineman's going to be like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, I didn't do nothing to you. I didn't say nothing to you. And Daron Payne's going to simply reply, man, I'm just trying to get my Madden rating up. Just like Hassan Whiteside for the Miami Heat a couple of years ago, man. I'm just trying to get my rating up, bro. He was trying to get his 2K rating. Daron Payne's trying to get his Madden rating up. Again, I know it doesn't mean much, but these players still care. And we could take any slice of motivation from that. Again, shouts out to Madden. We appreciate the motivation fuel. And then next up, Chase Young is the 14th highest rated defensive end in Madden 24 with an 85 overall. And then Montez Sweat is an 82 overall, so he's ranked even lower than that. I'm actually pretty surprised. Now, on one side, you can say that, you know, Chase Young popularity contest. I mean, you can definitely argue Montez Sweat has been easily the better player over the past 2 years. First of all, he's been the available player, let alone even when they've both been out there. You can argue Montez Sweat has even been better when Chase Young has been healthy. And so it's crazy that Montez Sweat is a lower overall than Chase Young. That shows, if anything, that this is clearly a popularity contest. But at the same time, I believe in Chase Young. I think he's going to be great. I think Montez Sweat are going to be great. I think both of those guys by the end of the season will be rated higher than both of those. I can easily see both of them reaching low 90s potentially. I honestly think that. I think Chase Young is primed to break out. I think Montez Sweat is going to be great. I think their stats alone are just going to improve just because of our defense becoming better. We have a far improved secondary, which is going to, you know how Montez Sweat is always that one step away from getting a sack, from turning QB pressures into QB hits, sacks, and strip sacks, and all of that type of stuff. That one step away that he's going to actually start to get home more often now, because our secondary is going to be so good, such a shutdown, lockdown secondary, that the quarterback is going to hesitate just a little bit. He's got to, you know, hold on to the ball a little bit longer. We're going to start to get coverage sacks again. Not even just a coverage sack situation, just a typical play, a regular play. If the quarterback hesitates even a little bit, just because Emmanuel Forbes, we drafted him. Quan Martin, we drafted him. Benjamin St-Juste takes another step forward. Derek Forrest takes another step forward. Percy Butler improves. Just that extra little bit of dose of secondary, that one step away that Montez Sweat has always been, and even Chase Young a couple of times. It's not going to be one step away anymore. It's going to be a sack. It's going to be a strip sack. Going to potentially be a turnover. That's going to increase their stats. It's going to get their names more widely known. They're going to become more household names outside of just Commander Nation. And their ratings are inevitably going to go up. They're going to make more Pro Bowls, all of that type of stuff. So, first of all, I'm just expecting Montez Sweat and Chase Young to improve on what they've been the past few years, especially Chase Young not being available. But even on top of that, I think our secondary improving is going to help those guys increase their Madden ratings as well that way. So, again, popularity contest, because Chase Young made the Pro Bowl, and Madden's never going to let that go. Oh, he's made a Pro Bowl? Good enough for me. 85 overall at minimum, even though he's basically done nothing lately. Now, but one argument I can make for Chase Young and Montez Sweat being where they are, especially even like Chase Young, where I feel like it's more so a problem of Montez Sweat being underrated than Chase Young being overrated, is that they're both, even though we're complaining about them as fans, about their pass rush ability and production, they are elite run stoppers, edge setters as far as edge rushers go. Like, it really doesn't get much better than those two. Those two are, you can argue, the best edge setting defensive end duo in the NFL. So at the very least, they have a certain floor that their rating should be just off of that. Now, pass rush potential, pass rush consistency, nuance, getting a better bag, a deeper bag, more moves, counters, and stuff like that, more production, instead of just being one step away, turning those one step away into actual sacks and numbers that we can see on a spreadsheet and stuff like that. I think that's going to be huge too. But at the very least, these guys are elite edge rushers, elite edge setting edge rushers. And I feel like our fan base forgets that a lot. We just act like Chase Young is just a bum. Well, a lot of people act like Chase Young is just a bum because he's not out there getting a ridiculous amount of sacks. But when it comes to setting the edge and stopping the run, these guys are literally as good as it gets. But again, I feel like it's more so a problem of Montez Sweat being underrated than Chase Young being overrated. But it's clearly a popularity contest because Chase Young made the Pro Bowl, Montez Sweat didn't, even though Montez Sweat has clearly been the better player, if anything, the more available player the past couple of years. But that's just how it goes. That just, if any example shows just a popularity contest, is that. Even though the Daron Payne situation ranked behind the guys he is, I don't even understand that. And then also, as far as safeties go, the fact that Cameron Curl is not even, top 20 is insane, dog. He's not top 20. We got Derwin James, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Justin Simmons, Kevin Byard, Jesse Bates, Tyrann Mathieu, Budda Baker, Jordan Poyer, Harrison Smith, Micah Hyde. We also got Marcus Williams, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Jimmy Ward, Antoine Winfield, Talanoa Hufanga, Kyle Duggar, Eddie Jackson, Javon Holland, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. No Cameron Curl above any of those guys. I think Cameron Curl should be top 10, potentially top 8. I think it was Pro Football Focus literally just a couple of weeks ago, did tiers for safeties. They didn't exactly rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order. They just said tier 1 and it had 8 guys in it. Then they had tier 2, it had more guys in that and stuff like that. And Cameron Curl was in that tier 1, and I completely agree that he is one of the best safeties. He's in the same tier as a lot of these top safeties like Minkah Fitzpatrick and those guys. You can argue about Minkah Fitzpatrick maybe being better, Derwin James maybe being better, Justin Simmons, but he's in the same tier as these guys. He's a top 8 safety. So the fact that Madden doesn't even have him as a top 20 safety lets you know everything you need to know about these Madden ratings. Do not take them too seriously at all, especially as a fan, as our fan base, as a player, anything. Do not buy into it too much because Madden clearly doesn't know as much as the players, execs, and coaches do. Or these deep analysts, even Pro Football Focus, as much they get hate, they're more accurate than Madden when it comes to things like this. So, hey, man, Cameron Curl, I'm so sorry you had to deal with that. And then you also have Jeremy Reaves, who ended up being a 69 overall, which is ridiculous. When you make an all-pro, I don't care even if it's as a punter, you should be higher than a 69 overall. They need to give you something when you're the all-pro safety, number 1 first team, the best special teams player in the entire NFL. You need to be higher than a 69 overall. I don't care if you gotta bump a couple of his defensive stats a little bit to make it make more sense, but an all-pro player as a 69 overall is wild. Jeremy Reaves even responded, whereas Daron Payne was more that's crazy, y'all are tripping. If anything, y'all are just motivating me to go out there and go even crazier. But then Jeremy Reaves is more so just laughing. He said, LOL, Madden wild for that, with a laughing emoji. But I'm like that in real life, so it's straight. So, they kind of responded to that in 2 kind of different ways, and I like both. Daron Payne is bet, I'm going to show y'all. I'm going to get my Madden rating up some point during the season if y'all check back in with me. And then Jeremy Reaves is man, I'm not even worried about it because I know I'm like that. I know I'm better than the 69 overall, so they just don't know what they're talking about type of thing. And I love both responses from both of those guys. So Cameron Curl, just to let you know, not a top 20 safety, 83rd overall rating. I disagree. Definitely should be higher than that, especially since I love Derek Forrest. I love his potential. I think he's going to be a great player. But for Cameron Curl to only be 1 overall higher than Derek Forrest is crazy. Then again, Derek Forrest probably has a lot of athletic attributes like speed, acceleration, all that type of stuff, and that's probably what boosts his. Either way, though, Curtis Samuel's an 82. I feel like that could be higher. Jahan Dawson's a 77, and that should definitely be way higher. They gave him the rating as if he's just a rookie coming out. It doesn't matter how great a rookie looks in college. Madden's never going to give them a really ridiculous rating entering their season, and that's just the kind of disrespect that it seems like Jahan Dotson is getting here. But Jahan Dotson should definitely be at least an 80 something, if anything even maybe higher than Curtis Samuel. Then Jartavius Martin, I'm not mad at that. Any rookies 73 overall, I'm not mad at that. Terrell Burgess 72, interesting. We just brought him over recently, during voluntary OTAs and mandatory minicamps. De'Ami Brown 71, we'll see. Dax Mills 67. You also have Charles Leno as an 82 overall. Andrew Norwell, who's we're going to release him as soon as he gets back healthy. He's an 81 overall, so that's crazy that he's ranked above a lot of these other guys that we're going to talk about. You got Brian Robinson, 79. That's interesting. I'm actually surprised because I thought they would severely hate on him. I feel like Brian Robinson deserves to be a low 80-something at the very least, but I'm surprised they didn't hate worse than that. Tressway's a 79. Chase Roulier, shouts out to him. I hope your retirement goes really well. Hope you find peace with yourself and all of that and recover. I'm kind of happy he retired because I don't want him to lose his ability to walk just for the rest of his life. Cody Barton's a 78. I'm surprised by that. I mean, the fact that Cody Barton is ranked higher as a middle linebacker than Jahan Dotson is as a receiver and Antonio Gibson as a running back, and even Jamin Davis as a linebacker is insane to me. But Antonio Gibson's a 77 tied with Jahan Dotson. That's a major underrate. Jamin Davis is a 76. Cameron Densler isn't even on the team anymore. He's a 77. Rated higher than Quan Martin and Emmanuel Forbes. That's crazy. And then you still have J.D. McKissick ranked for some reason. Trey Turner still here for some reason. Benjamin St. Juste is 75. That's criminally underrated. Samuel Cosme, they still have him as a right tackle, but either way, he's a 75. I'm telling you, before the end of the season, he's going to be mid-80s, maybe even high 80s. I'm telling you. Then Jacoby Brissett's a 74. Logan Thomas is a 74. I think he's going to prove people wrong with that. Andrew Wiley's a 73. I think he's going to prove people wrong with that. I feel like even just if you're going off the just Super Bowl alone, you got to rank him higher than that. Joey Sly's a 73. F.A. Obata's a 72. Fadarian Mathis is a 71. Can't be mad at that, but that rating's definitely going to go up. Then you got James Smith-Williams a 70, Cornelius Lucas 70, Danny Johnson 70, Carson Wentz still around for some reason 69, David Mayo 68, Abdullah Anderson 68. It just keeps going lower and lower. Nick Gates is only a 68. I think that's underrated. Khalil Cousins is a 67. Not mad at that. He got to go out there and prove himself. Casey Toohill 67. John Ridgway 66. I think that's underrated. Percy Butler 66. He's going to prove himself. John Bates 66. I think that's a little underrated. Sadiq Charles 66. He's going to prove people wrong there if he starts at left guard. Samuel Cosme, 66, is criminally underrated, but he's going to go out there and show people. I'm not too mad at it. Tyler Larson, backup center, 66. Not mad at that. KJ Henry, as a, I think, 5th-round pick rookie, can't be mad at 65. Jonathan Williams, Christian Holmes, Tariq Castro-Fields. Shaka Tony's not even going to play for us this year, if ever. Again, he's a 64. Cole Turner 64. He's definitely going to boost that up before the end of this season. Then you got Nick Martin 64. You got Rashad Wild Goose. You got William Bradley King. You got quite a few people that aren't even on this team anymore. Marcus Kemp 63. Andre Jones, same thing. Kyrick McGowan. Then you get Chris Paul, who could potentially start a left guard for us. So I'm a little upset about that, but it's just one of those he's got to go out there and prove himself. Milo Eifler, Xavier Henderson, Benning Patoa 61. Dejon Harris 60. My boy Armani Rogers, I'm telling you. Wait till 2024. He's a 658. That's definitely going to increase. Then you have Cameron Cheeseman, a 33. I know he's a long snapper, but golly, 33? I didn't even know he got that low. I thought 40 was the minimum. And then Braden Daniels, Emmanuel Forbes, KJ Henry, Andre Jones, Chris Rodriguez, and Ricky Strongberg are apparently still not rated yet. I don't know why Quan Martin's rated, but Emmanuel Forbes isn't. That's interesting. And Ricky Strongberg, I mean, he's right there, a 3rd-round pick. So that's really interesting. But either way it is, man, it is what it is. So that's the entire list of the Commanders Madden ratings. I really appreciate y'all. That's the end of this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to it so you get a notification each and every time I release any of these fun videos like this or my Rico reports where we talk about everything, no matter how random, my film sessions that I'm working on for the rookie class, and daily updates on everything going on in training camp. Y'all know Rico Street Scores. I'm gonna upload the clips of what happened in practice for y'all to see it, and then I'm gonna also do a breakdown and a complete analysis of every position group each practice as well, and who stood out the most, good or bad. I'm not just gonna try to sugarcoat stuff. It's gonna be good or bad. This guy was good, this guy was bad, all of that type of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that content. Of course, get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about these Madden ratings. Who's underrated, who's potentially overrated, who did they miss out on completely. Oh, and lastly, Kendall Fuller's an 88 overall. I'm surprised that he's that high. I'm very surprised they have him that high. I'm not gonna lie, but shouts out to Kendall Fuller for being up there. I think he deserves it, but just the way that Madden hates on other players on our team, I'm surprised that they didn't hate on Kendall Fuller, if anybody. But maybe again, it's a popularity contest. They pulled him up on Wikipedia, saw Super Bowl ring. Oh, he's got to be at least 85. Chase Young went to the Pro Bowl once, got to at least be an 85. I think that's just simply how it goes, bro. And that's it. But if for some reason they just ignored Jeremy Reaves as All-Pro. But again, get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about all of this. Do you agree or disagree with me? Do you agree or disagree with Madden? And of course, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors named C. Scroll on the screen right now. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.